What's up, guys and gals of the movement world? It's Sean Mishka, the Movement Miyagi, coming to you once again on behalf of Football Beyond the Stats in our Movement Play of the Week this week for Week 4 of the 2025 National Football League season. And this week we have another doozy for you as we kick off this first quarter of the National Football League season. Yes, we have two 0-3 teams, two teams on Monday Night Football struggling to pick up their first win. And the recipient of this week's Movement Play of the Week actually comes from the team that ultimately ended up losing and going 0-4, one of the four teams, I think, remaining winless. But that doesn't mean that there aren't still special movers on that respective roster. One of those special movers is really no stranger to our Movement Play of the Week. Back when he was the quarterback of the Chicago Bears a number of years back, he actually was awarded the movement play of the week, I think two-ish times, somewhere in that vicinity. I want to say two times Justin Fields was our recipient of our movement play of the week when he was with the Bears. But this one really truly takes the cake, and you're going to see why when we really dive into it. Again, week 4 saw a number of special teams plays that I think we could have probably featured. But nonetheless, here we have another evasive agility situation that was just too good to not unpack at our movement play of the week. So let's watch it through full time or full speed rather, a few times through before we get into our normal half speed. Justin Fields here, number 7 quarterback for the New York Jets, was actually not necessarily expected to play going into this one. He was a late entry into playing in the game. And nonetheless, you still actually couldn't see it as to why that were the case. Because Justin Fields seeing the field in a very adaptable way, but also looking to create in his normal, authentic way of doing and being that we saw at Ohio State and that we saw really throughout the course of his career in the NFL, even if he has been somewhat of a project, if you will. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get us back to here one more time through. Even if he's been somewhat of a project passing the ball at times, he hasn't necessarily been in the best tactical schemes around the best coaching per se that has taken advantage of his full skill set as a mover and particularly as a passer. However, when we look at these unscripted, improvisational, adaptive opportunities, he's on a very short list, particularly at the quarterback position. We're talking Lamar Jackson, we're talking Jaden Daniels, we're talking Patrick Mahomes, we're talking Josh Allen. And then likely, even in that conversation at that point, improvisational, impromptu, ready to adapt, create authentically, Justin Fields is right in that conversation. And you just saw why at full speed. So let's get in at 50% speed and see maybe what information Justin Fields was attuning to and what challenges as well as what opportunities within the problem he was seizing and adapting around. What is he attuned to and adapting around? A question that we often ask here at the Movement Play of the Week. First off, let's paint the constraint picture here. Let's paint the canvas, right? 4th and 1, Dolphins up by 14, two scores here, two touchdown scores already in the third quarter. This one, like the Jets had no decision but to go for it on 4th and 1 already in Miami territory at the 43 yard line, 43 that is, with 1 yard to gain. Kind of a questionable call when you really think about it. Now, of course, we can say that as an armchair quarterback after the fact, retrospect, right? As most people do. But we're going to do that because, only 1 yard to go. And I think they ended up almost running for 200 yards last night as a group and as a unit, the New York Jets. So kind of suspect here, not giving the ball to Breece Hall in some way, shape, or form. And then Justin Fields has a free rusher, even though he's just trying to get the ball here to 85 on this little tight end play. But you can see already, shit is hitting the fan. Chaos is ensuing, and the fire is burning for Justin Fields before he can ever really even truly make the reads. I think he probably had two or three options here. Again, 85 was where he wanted to go with the football right here as I circle it with my mouse. He's going to have Brees Hall down here at the bottom of your screen as well on the play action fake that they just ran. But again, lots of threats here right off the bat. So let's look at where this guy came from, even when we see it. We got Jalen Phillips here taking a block from Alan Lazard. Um, and I think when we think about what Justin Fields is dealing with, and when I say dealing with, I mean the dispositional problem, how it's unfolding, and how that feeds into in channeling his own movement solution behavioral organization. Hopefully that makes some sense. If it's your first time here at the Movement Play of the Week, it might not just yet, but I plead with you to bear with me. We see 21 come completely free in Justin Fields in this 1v1 type of problem. And this is going to be relevant for us because I want to talk about how we might be able to design practice activities that could help facilitate or channel these types of movement behaviors. These types of 1v1 interactions where a quarterback is still looking beyond that immediate threat, that immediate defender, is imperative, and it's really easy and simple to do in our learning environments. However, most people don't do it. Put quarterbacks in this situation where they have the intention to potentially throw the ball, dealing with evasive agility right here. Like, let's look at it. We see 21 come free, and in this movement box, if you will, this phone booth, like this isn't very much space, right? We talk about the information that one is going to be attuned to and adaptable around. Here, how many times do we actually get players in these types of scenarios? A guy's up in their grill, they have to move backwards or right or left if they're a quarterback, right? Now, if you're a running back, you're going to be trying to gain ground. If you're a wide receiver, you're going to be trying to gain ground in these types of situations. But a quarterback at this moment, 4th and 1, different intentions, right? Getting a quarterback moving backwards while still looking beyond to potentially throw to an open target, but deal with the information of this free rusher, this blitzer, who makes it really hot really quick, right? That's something that we often in practice, in training, don't subject players to very often, but I would implore you to think about doing so. It's likely that that threat, that interpersonal distance, he's not very attuned to it whatsoever because he's still himself, even though right now we can see him, if I can get my arrow up, we can see him looking directly to this guy, kind of in a Terminator type of style. Interpersonal distance. How close is he to me? How quickly is he closing ground? Oh, this guy is stumbling. What does that do? That might create an opportunity for me to find a way to move towards my left, even if I have to spin and do so, even if I have to plant and cut off of my right foot. I have to adjust this right foot in some way in order to then push back that way. Makes some sense? Affordances, opportunities to act, we see them everywhere here in this unfolding interaction. Remember, behavior affords behavior. So, how someone else is behaving dramatically shapes and channels how I might be able to behave. But let's erase that and think, where else could he be looking and what else does he need to be sensitive to? Of course, he's ultimately got to look here and look there, right? He's got to look to and through, not only to this, but also through it in order to determine, do I have an opportunity on 4th and 1? I can't live to play another play here. I don't have another down at my disposal. So Justin Fields, true improvisational type of nature. Again, one of the best doing exactly that. Does exactly that. He deals with that threat, says, let me get a little bit more space. Let me buy a little bit more time, especially with, let's see if I can draw quick enough here, especially with 21's body posture and unfolding kinematics changing to where he's stumbling. Remember, we're looking at this in slow motion. Justin Fields is seeing it in real time. This stuff is happening really, really rapidly, and he's got to make an accurate decision, but he also has to make a rapid and quick one in this situation. Not all decisions on an American football field, contrary to popular belief, need to be done this quickly. Okay. But this situation, when threat is imminent and intentions need to be clear, we need to act and act accordingly really, really quickly. But look at where his eyes are now. Okay. What can we speculate? He's looking again to and through. Where are my options? Where are my options going to be? And how are they covered? Okay. Make some sense? And what is it that is in front of this vista, this landscape, this field of affordances that actually gives me the best opportunity to pick up 1 yard on 4th and 1, right? Ultimately, Justin Fields is going to trust his form of life, going to trust his authentic way of doing, being, and acting, and going to say, I'm getting up out of here, right? He buys a little bit more time. Look at him again. Very patient, very composed. We're looking at this again in half speed. But you can see now, and the reason why I'm pausing it as often as I am is because there's a ton of nuances here as he looks towards all of these potential opportunities to act, but also the threats. He's also, I believe, at this time, beginning to recognize that I got a lot of cats that want to deal with me here, right? In all of these respective ways. I don't think he's probably picked up that dude yet, who he's going to have to really, really quickly as soon as he makes this decision. But we can see how this unfolding problem, this dispositional nature, this very complex problem composed of numerous interacting component parts right now, are going to become really relevant. Another slice and snippet of the game that we could easily train for, right? Right here. Let's look at them. Okay. We see 4 threatening defenders, right? One in number 21, who's going to come in chasing from the side. 2, 3, and 4, who are all laid out in front of him. We talk a lot about this in our newest book, Enhancing Skill in American Football. We talk about setting up movement problems that are set up and have a dispositional initial nature just like this, and then will unfold differently with problem variability each and every time, so that player gets repetition without repetition, gets to repeat that process of solving that changing problem again and again by changing the nuances of his solution. What is he perceiving? What is he cognizing? How is he acting? Right? Let's look at some of the cool nuances here, though, from Justin Fields at this moment. We take it a half beat back and we see where his eyes have now gotten fixated and focused. Survey, become aware of the imminent threats that are going to keep you from this first down marker, which is now quite a ways away, 14 yards, in fact. Okay. Justin Fields just simply says, like, I know there is some space over here. There has to be, based on what I just saw on this 2 or 3 beats before this. When I say beats, I just mean like ticks in time before that, especially in his head, this unfolding time that he needs to be attuned and sensitive to as well. Let's clear those drawings again, take it a step forward. Let's watch his feet. Let's watch his movement actions in response to this character here, who is going to be attacking at him in a really threatening type of way. Let's watch it unfold here, because this, I think, is cool stuff. Don't miss the forest through the trees. Look at him pause his feet momentarily, okay? Hopefully you see that in more of this, I'm not going to say real time because we're at 50% speed. Just watch 20 and 7 interact now. Let's even take, 21 out of the mix. Let's watch that 1v1 type of interaction here, okay? The pause in the feet just pulls 20 just a little tighter to him. Don't miss the forest through the trees. This is movement analysis, guys and gals. See that little hiccup? He does that intentionally, I believe, not necessarily consciously, but intentionally. in an open and responsive fashion. Let's see it again. Half beat, pulls the guy in. It opens up the opportunity to move to his left. You see what I'm saying here? Okay. And then where are his eyes? Yes, he's got one, two. If we look at this guy's angle, three and four, maybe threatening defenders now, but a whole heck of a lot of space out here to run to and through, hopefully to pick up the first down. And obviously, we know that's exactly what he does. Okay. Again, cool, nuanced stuff here. He picks up a little bit of glancing block, and we go from local movement problem to local movement problem. He's basically already solved two, two and a half, three problems, depending on where we're talking about one local movement problem ending and another one beginning, right? Now we just see curve linear agility with multiple chasers in space. Again, something that we talked about at length with multiple activity designs in our latest book, Enhancing Skill Acquisition in American Football. Guys and gals, we cannot leave these things to chance. And that is my biggest message for you right now. We might look at the special movement nature that is Justin Fields right here, or the Lamar Jacksons, the Jaden Daniels, the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomes, in space solving problems as a quarterback. Don't leave it to chance. We can develop and acquire it, okay? Or adapt it, rather. I don't want to say as opposed to acquire. So let's watch this now. Curve linear nature with chasers. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on when we talk about practical application, which we can do. But we see this unfolding problem. Let's look at his movement behaviors. People might think chaos. Well, he's already about to pick up the first down. There it is, right? Boom, first down marker. We've already surpassed it. He lives to play another down. But now, Justin Fields, in a Lamar Jackson type of fashion, is sensing and craving and attracted to pay dirt. Okay. He wants to put guys on his poster now. It's one of the things Justin Fields is very capable of, and he has been since his Ohio State days in entering the league as a Chicago Bear. But also, he's not always hard on the gas pedal. This is something I want y'all to pick up on. He's not always hard on the gas pedal. You can see it. He's galloping right now. When I say galloping, I mean he's more in like he's in a sprint, but he's at like 80% speed. This is ownership speed, guys and gals. Ownership speed that leads to optimal game speed or football speed. Again, here we are. Cheap plug for the book, Enhancing Skill in American Football, a topic we talk about at length. Football speed. Not moving as fast as humanly possible, but moving as fast as you can control and pick up the relevant, useful, specifying information sources in the world, in the environment. Okay? He's not moving at maximum speed. Look at him. He's moving in a way that allows him to change his path, his rhythm, his movement strategy in an open and responsive way on the fly. And then even when we look at how he decelerates, he doesn't have to decelerate all that much. Why? Because he was actually moving at ownership speed to begin with. He's able to control his body in time and space in relation to the unfolding dispositional problem. Hopefully some of this stuff is making sense. Now we see the next threat who's trying to cut off this angle, even though he has a few teammates also in his vista, right? He's got Lazard here, who's actually starting to slow down because he realizes Justin Fields might be trying to take this angle back behind the defender's left hip, right? As well as behind this teammate that he has right here off the screen, right? Don't miss the forest through the trees. Finger pointing away to the moon. It's the finger and the moon. It's the context and the content. It's the problem and solution. Look at how he changes his behavior now. He sees Fitzpatrick, and we're going to see it from the other view maybe even a little better as he accepts this affordance. He perceives the affordance, the opportunity to act. That's all that is, okay? The affordance, the opportunity to act that we are authentically connecting to. They are individual dependent. Do I have the ability to interact in that way? They are frame dependent. Do I pick it up at a relevant moment that allows me to accept it? And Justin Fields does exactly that, okay? I'm going to accept this affordance to come between these spaces here. Sorry, I'm trying to be as quick as I can on the drawing. That is going to open up emerging and decaying affordances. They emerge and they decay. They're there one moment and gone the next. But you can also prospectively control your movement behaviors, what is going to be there, and you can act in an anticipatory fashion then in this way. That's what we see from Justin Fields here. He takes it, notice him now, didn't hit the gas pedal hard, stayed at ownership speed, guys and gals. Game speed. But this game speed encompasses the holistic movement problem solving process. Game speed isn't moving by oneself, doing it through cone drills or the like. That's not how we develop it. We develop it by picking up relevant information and expressing our knowledge of, or enhancing our knowledge of these situations. Let's look at when Justin Fields notices Minka Fitzpatrick here, okay, right here, this defender, begin to change his body posture. I actually paused it perfectly. We see that Fitzpatrick realizes at this moment, or maybe just a half a beat before that, that this angle is no longer going to be the one that's needed, and he has to turn and run with Fields because Fields is going to come back behind him. We see his body posture already beginning to change, his being Fitzpatrick. Fields remains awfully connected to that, and back he goes. But look at what happens here. Behavior affords behavior. Yeah, we got 89 in the mix. Yeah, we got 10 in the mix. But really, this is a two-person artistic dance right now between Minka Fitzpatrick, number 29, defensive back for the Miami Dolphins, and number 7, quarterback Justin Fields of the New York Jets. Let's pick it up right here. See if I get there. Okay, let's watch that interaction. Kind of again, remove 89 from the mix, even though we never want to fully do that. But let's watch what Justin Fields does. You think that's a dance? You think he doesn't have attunement and sensitivity to how Fitzpatrick's unfolding behaviors are happening in front of him? Super masterful, super skillful stuff here from Justin Fields. Can we train it? Absolutely, we can. We're going to talk about it in a little bit, but we're going to watch this one more time through in all its glory. It's like a finger pointing the way to the moon. Let's point at that heavenly glory and we see it. Look at the glance back at the end. There are so many nuances to this with Justin Fields. This one is probably the best part, even though there's a lot of slices we can pick up here as we see sort of Barry Sanders versus the New England Patriots. And then, with Justin Fields, except where I wanted to pick up, sorry about that. I want to pick up and see this quick scan at the last moment. Look at that. Where's the threat? I need to pick it up. I'm going to still have the wherewithal, the attunement, the sensitivity to the useful, specifying information sources. I'm on the constant search and pick up for it, the search for it in the unfolding problem in the environment. And he gives 2 glances there. What are the threats? Where are they? They're not there any longer. I'm hitting pay dirt, right? Nobody's going to get my feet. No one's going to hit me off the side and keep me from at least closing the gap here against my new rival Dolphins, right? And one of us trying to pick up a victory, even though I feel bad that Justin Fields didn't exactly do that, right? Let's see it from this point of view and perspective. And then I do want to chat momentarily around, I already began to a little bit around the different slices we can look at. Okay, let's see it from this view though. Confirm what I saw in the other view. And we're just watching it play out here. The NFL is going to put some advertisements, I think, across our screen here in a bit. But let's see it here again. Really cool special stuff. Let's see it when we get Fitzpatrick into the screen, right? Even though I know the NFL is going to mess with my chi here a bit. But you see it, okay? You see exactly what we were talking about before. And Justin Fields, behavior affords behavior. Minka Fitzpatrick, Justin Fields together. Let's talk about the slices and practical application of this because there's a few of them. Again, I already pointed to them. If you don't and you haven't picked up Enhancing Skill in American Football, check out the show notes below right now. Go ahead and order it because We have 48 pages of practice activity designs with infinite ways of manipulating constraints to set changing problems. But let's just talk about this in case you're too damn cheap to pick up the book and support the movement Miyagi and what we did with the book. Okay. 1v1 movement problem. We already talked about it. Cat and mouse. A lot of times people are having the offensive guy, the mouse, go cat and mouse left and right. How about a quarterback? Moving backwards or right and left? Moving backwards and taking an information behind. Even if it's a 1v1, put some sort of information behind. Okay? Put him on a time clock. 2 seconds, 3 seconds, where he's got to make a one person miss in some way, shape, or form. Maybe we're creating, let me see if I can get this where we would probably do initial conditions from. So bear with me, like right about here, 2-ish yards apart, put one mover in another. Let me star these guys so I'm not just talking out of my butt here. Okay. So we got Justin Fields. Hopefully you can see that. We got number 20, right? Was that number 20? 21, I think. 2-ish yards apart. Let's talk about an activity design. Maybe he has this type of window. Okay. Let's call it 6 yards wide, 10 yards long. Okay. Something of that nature. So 1v1 plus 1 or plus 2. Let me show you. Okay. What's the plus 1? We might have a receiver at the line to gain, but with him needing to solve this problem, he can go anywhere within the space. He can go anywhere within the space he wants to. He's just looking to evade that guy. And by the time, let's say we're talking about it in a 3-second window, 3 seconds might be a little long for this workspace. Let's say 2 seconds. I'm going to count 1,000, 1,000. And by the time we hit the end of that 2,000 beat, he's got to throw the football. So he's got a 2-second time to evade this guy, whether he's going to move left, right, forward, back, at an angle, wherever he needs to move in that workspace. Okay. If he moves too far out of the workspace, he loses the rep. Okay. He's got to evade this guy for that period of time and then deliver a ball 1v1 plus 1. Maybe that guy's uncovered and he's plus 1. Maybe that guy is covered and it's 1v1 plus 2. 2 being his own offensive teammate and then a defender. Okay. Makes some sense. We change the problem then. We change who this defender might be. In this case, it's a defensive back. We might have a linebacker. We might have a bigger defensive end. All of those things change the movement skills styles. Easy to rep this out. So easy to rep this out. Okay. And we can change the line to gain. We can change the workspace size. We can change his intentions. We could give him an opportunity to run. So let's say he doesn't have to throw the ball here, but he's evading in just a 1v1 nature. He can go anywhere within this workspace, or maybe we widen out the workspace and he has the opportunity to go anywhere there. Okay, makes some sense. Hopefully it does. Again, it's all pretty clearly laid out in Enhancing Skill in American Football. Cheap plug for the book, very cheap plug for the book. Go buy it. Okay, then we see this extra movement problem. We have another charging defender. I talked about this before. Chaos, gaining comfort, coordination, and control in chaos. A 1v3 or 4. Okay. Offensive skill player. Oftentimes we wouldn't have the quarterback do this, but we would do it with a running back really frequently. Giving ourselves a certain workspace size. Usually, it's going to be like high school or college hashes. These hashes are too small. These hashes are too little to really use. We might use them as a landmark though. What would I probably use? I'd probably use numbers. Okay. And that was supposed to be a double line to numbers. I can't see the numbers up here, but you guys can see where I'm going with this, right? Numbers to numbers, 1v3 or 4. Okay. And we'll put oftentimes a chaser. Usually he won't be that close to start with. Let's say he's going to start from about here. We'll put a guy coming at any angle. We'll put a guy coming at any angle. We'll put a guy coming at any angle. Okay. And we would rep that out. Comfort and control and chaos. This cat, the offensive ball carrier, could be a quarterback like it is here, could be a wide receiver as if he got the ball in space down the field. It could be a running back as if he were by himself in his lonesome trying to make a bunch of people miss because the fire got hot and he's at his challenge point. Hopefully that makes some sense, right? And then we might gradually add complexity. What does that mean? Numerous interacting component parts. We might make it into a 2v4. We put a teammate. We might put a guy down here who's going to assist, if you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Could do any number of things to manipulate constraints here, guys and gals, but we keep this dude down here at a disadvantage as much as humanly possible. So he has to see constantly changing dispositional problems. Really easy to do this and rep that out. We do it really frequently for our offensive ball carriers in them moving in changing spaces with changing constraints. So we would let that play out accordingly. Now, curve linear agility. Let's move me back just a bit. Another activity that we do a lot of, okay? Now, this is actually a relatively simple problem for Justin Fields to solve. Why do I say that? He doesn't really, we got one guy here. He doesn't really have a threat out in front of him, which is where we would typically put somebody. Let me put a time, like a stamp there. We'd probably put a guy there. If you see um, my yellow star, where this guy could go here, here, or here in relation to how Justin Fields is acting. And then we would likely put this chaser coming from behind, start him out about 1.5 yards, 2 yards behind. Maybe it'd be more like 21 here, 1.5 yards, 2 yards behind, where that guy's going to try to perceive what is unfolding here, but what is unfolding here at the same time with a line to gain of that, or maybe even further downfield. Okay. Easy way to manipulate constraints. Also, put another defender here at the line to gain, put another defender further downfield. Makes some sense. There's 3 practice activities, problems for you to set, guys and gals, in your own learning environment. I don't want to hear these excuses that I'm just talking about extraordinary plays and then not telling you how we might be able to facilitate it. We can and we do in our learning environment, and you can also. Okay. Now, another easy one, a live cat and mouse zigzag type of activities. Let's bring me to Justin Fields about right here. This is probably a pretty big space. Justin Fields has an advantage here. Okay. We usually will set up this type of a live zigzag at about that type of workspace, 3 or 4 yards apart. Okay. Oftentimes we start this a 1v1. I got to draw some workspace size here for you if I could, if I know how to use my mouse. Okay, we're going to talk about like this type of workspace and probably about there. Okay, that would go off screen. 20 yards long. Numbers to sideline is something we use frequently. Hash to hash, in between the hashes, we use frequently with this. Between numbers and hash, we use frequently with this. A live zigzag or a live cat and mouse. Okay. Usually it started with a 1v1. We don't often bring another teammate or another defender into the mix until both parties get deeper into the offseason, get closer and closer to the season. Hopefully, what I'm painting the picture of makes some sense. So, this guy can go here, this guy can go there, that guy can do it any number of ways that he wants to. If he wants to go here, here, here to do that, depending on where this guy, okay, hopefully that makes some sense, goes along with it. A live zigzag, get rid of the freaking zigzag slalom poles and stop doing agility in that way and start doing agility in this way. A live zigzag, Barry Sanders versus New England Patriots, best example of it. But I'll tell you what, Justin Fields gives it to us here as well. We do this a lot, once or twice a week in our learning environment. Guys and gals, it's not as hard as most people make it out to be, right? It is not as hard as most people make it out to be. We don't have to reserve special movement skills for just the most adaptable movers playing in the game, those who are the greatest compensators. But we can, I promise you, facilitate it no matter the level of athlete we are working with. Low developmental football players, all the way up to the professional ranks, allow the facilitation and channeling of these types of very attuned and adaptable movement skills in relation to multiple opponents. Give sparring engagements, multiple opponents that they're going to face, various opponents that they're going to face, differing opponents that they're going to face, and they're going to get very attuned and adaptable to picking up the most useful, relevant, specifying information in these types of situations. So they can make plays just like Justin Fields did, maybe not in the exact same way, but in their own authentic way. So hopefully you guys geeked out about this one as much as I did. I love this play. Great job to Justin Fields and his highly attuned and adaptable nature. This has been a great first quarter of the 2025 National Football League season. I'm looking forward to very, very many more. I hope you come along for the ride on this 25 season. I'm Sean Mishka, the Movement Miyagi. This is Football Beyond the Stats, our Movement Play of the Week. Click, subscribe, hit the like button, share it with your people. I appreciate you. I will talk to you guys in week 5.